Hello everyone, so this is going to be a video on how to fit a reversing camera and Android Auto to a 2016 VW Touareg. This is the R line, but it's kind of irrelevant which model because it should be the same on all of them. The only difference is, or the only caveat is, you must have the RNS850 head unit for this system to work. The R-Line Plus model actually already comes with the rear view camera anyway, and what it does is it replaces the boot handle here. As you can see, is just a standard boot handle, and what we do is we get this, which replaces the boot handle effectively, and then feed that through to the wiring loom. So stay around, I'll try and talk you through it. So I'd suggest first buying yourself one of these sets of auto trim tools, just to help you with getting the little plastic bits off various boot panels, etc. What we're going to do is we're removing this plastic trim on the interior side of the boot lid in order to gain access to the boot handle and swap it for the camera. And then once we've done that, we've got to run the wiring through the existing grommets, which is going to take a bit of time and probably a bit of wire to pull through, and then run it down the edge of the car to the front, to the head unit at the front. So that's probably the hardest part of this job, is getting this wiring through. So take your time, but I'm going to start by trying to get this this trim panel off here, and I'll report back in a second with how to do it. Okay, so first you've got two T25 Torx screws on either side of this interior boot panel which need removing. If you then drop down your warning triangle, you'll see two more underneath there, so they need removing as well. Now with one of your plastic tools, work your way around this bottom edge, just pulling this plastic down, and then if you can see inside, that's one of the tabs, and what I used was a little lever there just to lever that out. So that's one bit out. Just got to work our way around. There's another one here, look, that's what's holding it in. So we're going to work our way around. And then there's one here too, which I just use the long lever to just force against it and pull that one down. There's quite a bit of force required. They don't come that easily. But if you've got the right tool and you can just gently lever it without going crazy, it just suddenly pops out. So try not to break anything while doing this. But you just got to be patient, work your way around, and then keep looking inside where you can with a torch, just to see where the next one is. As you can see, it's slowly coming. You can start to see the actual tabs that are holding it in and where they are on each side. So we're getting there. Right, at that point I've gone the other side now and I've pulled those down, and as you can see, a lot more's come loose now. You can sort of see in there what's going on. I mean, to be honest, probably can manage to do it now from this point, but I'm going to carry on and see if I can get more of it off, just to make it easier so I can see what's going on. Okay, at this point I would remove these electrical connections for the lights on both sides, one here and one here. You just pull the tabs either side and it should just pop out. Then can't see what I'm doing. Oh, that's the actual boot. Ah, there it is, I think. Right, I'm going to put the camera down for this and work it out, but remove those anyway, and then that will give less strain on the connections if you do manage to get the last few clips undone. Just remove that connector there. That was quite filled with grease. Now I can get quite a good look in there of what's what. You can see there's another, I think maybe another two tabs on each side, I think, Just see in the centre of the screen there's one there sticking up, one slightly to the left, and I think there's probably two the other side to pop out as well to get this entire panel off. Then doesn't look like there's any more connections going to it, so I think we're okay with that. So I'll get my lever and just pop them off as well if I can. Now this is down, we can see the actual mount for the boot handle. See the two bolts protruding and nuts on the end. So we're going to undo those nuts. They look to be 10mm. Get those undone, and then it should allow me to pull the boot handle out from outside, and then I can also unclip the electrical connection on it as well. So I'm going to do that now, see if I can reach it before I take the rest of this panel down. It might even be possible to do this without completely removing the panel, which would be nicer because this is looking pretty tricky and I didn't put too much effort into it in case of breaking it. Okay, so in the end I resorted to a screwdriver. So you can just about see up here, there's another one there to get rid of. I say get rid of, to unclip, and there's a one to the right of it just there as well. So what I'm doing is just popping the screwdriver in and then just levering upwards like that, and that's both of them free now. So I've got a lot more manoeuvrability on it. I can see a lot more under here now. We're nearly there, I think, with removing this. Just going to double check, see if there's any more. I think maybe the ones on the top, but then but even now that's probably enough to actually get in there to do what we need to do, so it doesn't actually have to come all the way off. The only thing will be the wiring, to get the wiring back through, because the wiring's got to go into the those rubber grommets. So probably going to need to work something out, get it down these edges here, and then feed it through them. So that'll be the next challenge, but I might be able to do this bit with what we've done already, just with lowering this. Okay, so let's get the boot handle out. So it was 10mm bolts for the nuts for the back of these bolts. So I got those off with the 10mm spanner. That allowed me to remove the backing plate. First the connector had to come out, and in order to get the connector out, this little tab here needed pushing outwards, and then the connector was able to be released. Ignore this here for now. Once that's released and the bolts are undone, what you then need to do is, on your existing one, it'll be stuck, so you need to get a little tool to just wedge in here and just release it, and then it should pop out then. Okay, so I'm going to do that with two hands. So there it is out. That worked. One thing to note is these little tabs on the end here needed just pushing in with a finger just to get it to release, and then obviously the seal, I was removing this seal around here from outside, because obviously it's been in there for many years, so that just needed helping along. So that's removed that. So now I'll just put the new one in and effectively reverse the process and bolt that in place and clip it in, and that should have a working boot handle. Then I can sort out the camera connections. Okay, with a bit of faff, I've managed to get the new camera in and bolted on at the back. One word of advice though, is what I would say is, while this is out, I would try and plug it in, the connector for it, before you bolt it in, because it's quite tricky to get to, and this one was not quite as good a fit of connector as the actual standard one, the OEM one, so I had to sort of force it in a little bit. It's clipped in now and it's all good, but that's my advice, get that clipped in before we screw it, bolt it back in. Okay, so next is to wire it up. So the red one is the power lead and the yellow one is the video, but the yellow one also has this little tail which is power, and the idea of that is that's going to be fed from the head unit. So what we need to do is, even though you get this extra lead here, which is a power lead, what we're going to have to do is get the end of that, the red on the end of that is going to have to link to this little tail, and then what I'm going to do is the black from that power lead I'm going to put a little connector on, and I'm going to screw it, or bolt it should I say, to possibly one of these here, this bolt on the rear light cluster, because that will be earth there. I'll double check that's earth, but that should be earth, so that will give us a camera earth, and then the power feed can come from the head unit, and that way it's only powered up from the head unit rather than directly. There are other alternatives. You could wire that red wire into the, say, reversing light or something like that, but I want to do it so that the actual IMI-1000 controls it, so that's the plan. So I'm going to go and get some crimp-on connectors and get those cables sorted. One thing I will note is this video feed is quite loose, so what I'm going to do is put a bit of insulation tape around here to keep that in place, and then going to tie up the wires up against some existing wires as it runs along. That's my plan, and then this whole back panel can go back on then. So I've put a earth lead on the end of the actual earth. I've put these crimps on for bullet connectors to join the two tails together for the power, and then I've done what I said with the insulation tape around both of these connectors so that they can't work their way loose. Now I'm going to tie wrap this cable up against some other cables, giving it enough slack so it can't rattle around in the boot, and then I'm going to work out how to feed the cable back down through that and then out through to the boot there. And then what I've noticed is if you release this, where that conduit is there, under here you can get to it. So what I'm thinking is run a wire up through there if I can, and then see if I can get it up and out, and that's going to be my wire that I'll use to pull through. So this is going to be the hard bit. So it's in the boot, mounted in, wiring's reasonably neat. I've got the earth cable on the bolt for the rear light cluster. Just got to feed the cable through now, the rest of it. So I'm using a push bike brake cable. It's actually a brand new one. Feed that underneath and through the hole, and then if you pull this trim down, just grab it from this corner and give it a sharp tug down, and it'll unclip and it gives you a bit more access. So the idea is you can try and then push your cable up and see it through that hole there, and then you could just bring it inside this trim then all the way up. So that's what I'm going to try and do. So in the end I got the entire boot paneling off. That was not an easy job, I'll be honest. So what was happening is I was trying to run a cable through here and it was just catching on this every time. So now at least we've got access to it. So what you can see is there's various clips on this, and the main ones, which are these ones here, which clip into the side, and then this one here is clipped in via this here, and that was an issue. So I mean, putting it back's not going to be easy, but at least now I've got full access to the for the cabling. So let's sort that out. The easiest way of getting the this through here is with one of these cycling kind of brake cables. It went through quite easily from the bottom up. So now I'm just going to tie the end of the cable to that and then run it through, tie up it to this, and then run it through there. Should be good then. Got everything up here now. Got the earth lead on there, and I've got easy access to this now as well, but of course that's all mounted in. So it is easier if you can get that off. It seems once you've got the clips out, it just seems to fall off, but it was hard to get the clips out. It really was. It takes a lot of force. Right, so it's in place. The trick in the end was to remove the connector, which underneath here, when you lower the roof, there's there's 4 little connectors, little pins, sorry, tabs, that's probably the word I'm looking for, and all you do is you release the tabs and it releases that, and it makes it a lot easier to thread the cable through then. It's quite tricky, that bit. That's taken me probably an hour to get it through, that one bit alone. Bit of a pain, but anyway, putting all this back together now, and then I'll run it through to the front. I've then ran my wire along the top upper seal of the doors. As you can see, I'm going to tuck it underneath the roof lining, and then run all the way along to the front, and then drop down, and that will give us enough sort of cable length as well. So that's how I'm getting it through to the front, the reverse camera cable. I ran it all the way down inside the roof lining here, just on the edge where the seal is, all the way down to here. What I'm going to do next is remove the glove box, and to do this there's 4 T25 screws up here. You'll need quite a short length of shaft to get to these, because there's not much room between the door and the actual screw. And then there's a couple more underneath here that you need to remove, and then the entire glove box should drop out and give me access to behind here then, and then I can feed the cable through, and then we'll go into the back of this bit here, which is the actual kind of head unit for the multimedia system. So that will give us access to that. So I'm going to undo those and get back to you shortly. So if you remove the fuse box cover, which is just the clips at the bottom there, just pull on those, that should remove it. That will give you access to this piece here, which you can just flick off with your tool, pop it out, and then you can run the cable through and around. So then we've got the cable through then to the back of the multimedia. So that will give us access to there, and there's plenty of cable left, as you can see on there, loads. So that's what the routing I'm going to take. So that's the glove box down. Next you need to remove the grey cable from the back here. First there's a little clip that you have to pull in here on this side, and then you can pull it out once you remove that clip. So we're going to effectively break into that connection. Now for the confusing bit, connect up as per the diagram. It looks a little confusing, but it does seem to go together. The one thing that I found that was different to the diagram was this one, but I'm pretty sure it's correct. So this is going to mount to the back of the climate control panel, break into that harness there, and I believe the little connection that it runs to is the touch connection for the screen. So right, so now I've pretty much got this in place. I've got to get the climate control panel out. I've already got the surround out just by sticking one of the tools in and just prising it out. It's just on clips, as you can see over there. So I've just got to work out how you get the actual panel out now, and then get to the back of it. So that will be the next job. So it's got these little clips on the side, as you can see, and you just have to pop a screwdriver in there first and just leave it out, and then you can pull it out gradually, and then you can get to them just to pop them in slightly just to pull it out. It's actually quite easy, that is. Just be careful with it, but it's quite an easy job, that one. That allows me to get to the back of it now, so I can hopefully put in the connector that comes with it. So I've got it mounted now on the back, and then I've ran the connector down here. So what I'm going to do is feed that through the back, and then break into the brown connector on the back there. So I've actually mounted it in the end at the back there, because by sticking it on the back of the glove box it wouldn't close properly. So I've mounted it, I'll put a tie wrap around the kind of strut brace of the dashboard and mounted it there, and it's pretty solid. That ain't going anywhere, and it's tucked out the way, so hopefully the glove box will close. So once you've got it all back together and wired in, don't forget, as I mentioned at the start of this video, you might need to wire into the pink wire for the reversing camera for its 12-volt feed rather than the red wire that it states on the diagram. The diagram's actually wrong, but it's the pink wire and it's labelled CCD 12 volts. So get it all in and back together. Obviously, glove box all back in place. Once you've followed those connections, which are relatively straightforward, you don't actually have to do the first part of this video if you're not installing a reverse camera. It's just the second part with the IMI-1000 box and then the associated wiring loom and wiring that into the various places. Once it's all up and running, to go to it, you basically press and hold the traffic button for a few seconds, and then it should switch to the interface like that. So that's now on the IMI-1000's interface, and then you can sort of scroll through the apps that you've got set available in the Android Auto. Obviously this is the same for Apple Carplay as well, but I don't use Apple. The first thing you need to do to set the camera to work is come out of this screen and go into the actual IMI's screen, where you can do various other bits and bobs. Scroll to the right all the way to the settings, then we go into there, and then this is where you set up now things for your camera and your volume and stuff like that. So I think it was under car setting, where it says reverse camera there. Because we're installing an aftermarket one, you've got to change that to say after loading track. So they were the options. OE camera if you've got the standard camera and you just want this IMI-1000 to work with the standard camera. But if you're installing a retrofit one like I've done today, you set it to after loading track, and that should be that set. That should then work when you put it into reverse gear. So as soon as you select reverse gear, you'll get your camera display. I can probably do that actually and show you. There you go, just like that. So that's how that works. Come back out of it, it should go to where we were. There we are. So come back out. The other option as well, once you'd set up, I found I needed to do this because it wasn't working. Go to system factory mode, I think phone link setting, and that disable phone link audio has to be checked. On mine that wasn't checked and I wasn't getting any audio through. So make sure you've got that checked if you're not getting any audio. And then once you've done that and set that, sorry I've just gone too fast, one of the options in there was reboot. Once you've changed that setting, you have to reboot it. So click reboot and it'll reboot the IMI device. That's it. Once we're in that, and then you should then be able to connect with Bluetooth. So you've got to connect to the car as normal, to the VW's Bluetooth, and then you can connect to the IMI Bluetooth, which is all in the instructions, which are in the description, the link to the instructions below, and then you can set the audio to come through, and that's about it. That's about your lot. Go away and enjoy. Thanks for watching.